Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. If you are watching this on the day of release, then you will know that this is Christmas Day and happy holidays to everybody. So just before we go on with the video, a little bit of housekeeping. I've changed the way I'm going to be effectively producing this mini series, which was going to be a part one only and is now looking like a five-parter, this being number three. So you would have noticed that there's an actual intro and there will be an outro to this video, and it will be the same going forward. This is obviously all very new to me. I've only just started making videos, so it's a bit of a learning curve, so I'm working things out. Also, in previous videos, what I was doing was taking screenshots of sort of Wikipedia articles and loading them up into a slideshow and then just reading off those slides. And the delivery, it felt to me that the delivery wasn't great and maybe a little bit boring. And there weren't a lot of sort of real life examples, that sort of thing. And I just started to get the feeling that I was kind of just reading. So I've stopped doing that. What I am now going to do moving forward is I have scripted the videos. As you can see there on your screen, there is the start of the script. Um, so no more screenshots in that sense. I I sort of thought about just, removing the script from your screen and just having me with the background, going over the script. But then for two reasons really, I've left it there. One being if anybody is hard of hearing, they can follow along in the video and they can read the script, my script. And if anybody wants to come back in the future and watch this again and get any information off this script, then you're more than welcome. I think moving forward, once I'm starting to work out of the cloud now, just also because of the storage space for all these videos. I think I'll work out how to put links in the cloud to these scripts slash, PDFs, so that if anybody did want to see them, they can just click on a link and it will take them into the cloud and they can read them from there. I'm using iCloud. I kind of know how to do it from the Google Drive, the Google Cloud, effectively. I'm not quite sure how to do it through iCloud. It's probably more or less the same. I'll look into that. Okay, for now, let's move on to the meat of the video. So today's video is going to focus on conspiracy theories, cult mentality, disinformation in modern Western politics, and how they all tie in to each other. Just a quick one. Next week's video is going to be on cognitive dissonance, confirmation bias, and intellectual dishonesty. And that'll be number 4 next week, and then the week after that I think will be the final video of this mini series, and that's going to focus more on objectivity and critical thinking, which is not really fascist tactics, but it's more about tools to combat these tactics. All right, so let's get into today's video. uh, in an era where information is more accessible than ever, why does it feel like truth is harder to find? Conspiracy theories, cult mentality, and disinformation are reshaping the fabric of modern Western democracies. Today, we'll explore how these forces intertwine, their devastating consequences, their influence on contemporary politics, and their role in the rise of modern fascism. So let's just look at conspiracy theories first. A quick definition: conspiracy theories are beliefs that powerful secret groups orchestrate events for malicious purposes in a political sense, mainly. These theories often provide simple explanations for complex phenomena, appealing to those feeling powerless or alienated. Example, Pizzagate in the USA. A baseless claim alleging a child trafficking ring run by elites from a Washington, D.C. pizza parlor. Despite its absurdity, it resulted in a real-world attack when a man fired a rifle into a restaurant to investigate. Politically, this demonstrated the vulnerability of individuals to misinformation campaigns aimed at discrediting opposition figures like Hillary Clinton. Second, QAnon, originally a USA, but now a global conspiracy theory. I think they have about 3 or 4 actual conspiracy theories that all tie into their worldview, I guess you could call it. A sprawling conspiracy asserting a secret war between Donald Trump and a cabal of Satan-worshipping pedophiles. This theory has influenced US politics by creating a fervent base of voters who demanded loyalty to QAnon-aligned ideas, reshaping Republican Party dynamics. And then another one, COVID-19, Origins and Myths, which is a global conspiracy. Claims that COVID-19 was engineered as a bioweapon or caused by 5G technology. Crazy. Politically weaponized to erode trust in governments and international organizations, further polarizing public opinion. Logical fallacies in conspiracy theories. Confirmation bias, which we're going to discuss in more detail next week. Only seeking evidence that supports the theory. In other words, kicking out anything else. Post hoc ergo propter hoc, assuming that because one event follows another, the first caused the second, and appeal to ignorance, believing something is true, because it hasn't been proven false. Okay. Section 2, cult mentality. Definition and characteristics. Cult mentality involves unquestioning devotion to a leader or ideology. It thrives on isolation, echo chambers, and emotional manipulation. For example, Trumpism in the USA. And I've even seen Trumpism here in the UK. Believe it or not, these people don't even vote in US elections, yet they're caught up in it. Unwavering loyalty to Donald Trump, with followers dismissing all criticism as fake news. Politically, this solidified Trump's influence over the Republican Party, sidelining dissenting voices and reshaping the party's platform. The Stop the Steal campaign perpetuated baseless claims of election fraud, culminating in the Capitol insurrection. 2. Brexit here in the UK. Oh, yeah. Right, I'm talking about this Brexit. What a low crock of shit, frankly. Excuse the French. A nationalist movement fueled by cult-like fervor, emphasizing slogans like "Take back control." They were all lies. Every single one of them was a lie. Misleading claims such as 350 million for the NHS, which we were going to get back from the European Union, right? So apparently we gave them 350 million pounds every year, which I think we did, but it did come back to us, but it got split. There's a whole thing about it, right? And we were going to get 350 million back, which never happened. I think it's something like 40 million in the air. I don't know. Um, you know, another lie. It galvanized voters and reshaped the UK's relationship with the EU. I also believe now that we're that the new Labour government has sent a special envoy to Brussels to go and re-garner our relationship with the EU. I don't think that means joining the EU again, but it's to formulate new ties. Brexit's long-term political effects include the rise of hardline policies and deepen national divides with people like Nigel Farage, who's now the leader of the Reform Party, which is like a racist party. It's like a small version of the current Republican Party in the UK. Sorry, in the USA. Um, and then Heaven's Gate, which is a religious cult, um, which is no longer, I believe, because they all committed. I can't say these words on YouTube. I apologize. They all went to sleep permanently. Right. While not directly political, this cult's extreme isolation and devotion illustrate the dangers of groupthink, which can apply to political movements. Psychological techniques used, us versus them dichotomy, framing outsiders as the enemies, the appeal to authority, blind trust in a charismatic leader, and the bandwagon effect, conforming to group beliefs due to social pressure. All right. Section 3, disinformation. Definition and spread. Deliberate falsehoods spread to deceive and manipulate public opinion. I mean, we see this happen. This is why critical thinking and objective thinking is so important, which is going to be in 2 weeks' time. These are tools to help us disseminate from these falsehoods. Accelerated by social media algorithms prioritizing engagement over accuracy. I'm just thinking that I could probably do a sixth video. I could probably do one on social media algorithms alone. Anyway, I'll think about that for the future. For example, Russian propaganda, it's a global problem. RT, which is the basically the BBC of Russia, although it's nothing like the BBC, that's for sure. And other state-sponsored outlets spread narratives undermining Western democracies. For example, false claims about Ukrainian neo-Nazis to justify the invasion of Ukraine. Politically, this disinformation has fostered anti-Western sentiment domestically and abroad, justifying authoritarian policies. COVID-19 misinformation. Claims like 5G towers causing COVID-19 led to vandalism and public fear. Anti-vaccine campaigns targeted trust in governments, shaping political debates on public health and individual freedoms. I mean, that's another whole conspiracy theory there, the anti-vaxxers. Another one is climate change denial, another global problem. Fossil fuel industries funded campaigns casting doubt on scientific consensus. Politically, this has delayed climate action and polarized debates in countries like the USA and Australia. And logical fallacies in disinformation, the ad hominem attacks, attacking the messenger to discredit the message. There's all sorts of different types of ad hominem attacks. You know, that's one example of an ad hominem attack. False equivalence, presenting fringe ideas as equally valid as scientific consensus. There's another logical fallacy that hasn't, I don't know if actually if it's a logical fallacy. It's something called the Dunning-Kruger syndrome. I might have spoken about it in previous videos. It's where an idiot thinks that they're an expert on something and that the actual experts are the idiots. Look that one up, Dunning-Kruger syndrome, right? That plays a lot into this, into what we're talking about today. Cherry picking, highlighting isolated data points to misrepresent the whole. So just taking a sentence here, a sentence there, and you know, effectively copying and pasting or cutting and splicing to create something that that conforms with your narrative and not the actual narrative, the factual narrative. All right, the rise of modern fascism. Definition and connection. Fascism emphasizes authoritarian leadership, nationalism, and suppression of dissent. Conspiracy theories, cult mentality, and disinformation create fertile ground for fascist ideologies. For example, Hungary, Orban's regime. Orban uses disinformation to vilify George Soros, painting him as a puppet master controlling Hungary's decline. Which is very interesting because he's also painted the same way in the US. I think he's actually a US citizen. He's a donor to the Democratic Party. Um, and he's also Jewish, so it's very anti-Semitic uh, um, conspiracy theory for effectively. This narrative reinforces nationalist policies and erodes democratic checks and balances. USA in the Trump era. Promotion of deep state conspiracies to discredit institutions like the FBI and media. Groups like the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers gained prominence, linking fringe ideologies to mainstream politics. Um, and then Russia, Putin's regime, state-controlled media amplifies nationalist conspiracies to legitimize aggressive policies, and disinformation campaigns weaken opposition and justify autocratic measures. The Russians are very, very good at this. They've worked out that they are effectively human algorithms, and they know exactly what to say and do and how to push it. What I mean, they use it very, very effectively as a weapon, and we need to start learning how to fight back against it. And then Bolsonaro in Brazil. Jair Bolsonaro leveraged disinformation about electoral fraud to challenge democratic institutions. His presidency saw the rise of nationalist rhetoric and erosion of environmental protections, psychological and social effects, scapegoating, blaming minorities or outsiders for social problems, um, normalization of extremism, fringe beliefs become mainstream, and erosion of trust. Citizens lose faith in institutions and experts. There's a bit of Dunning-Kruger in that too. All right, the consequences and solutions. Consequences, polarization. Society split into hostile factions, influencing elections and policy making. Erosion of democracy. Authoritarian leaders exploit divisions to seize power, as seen in Hungary and Turkey and the USA. Violence, misinformation, and conspiracy theories incite real world harm, such as the January 6th Capitol riots. And I would say also possibly currently in Georgia, that sort of thing is going on. Solutions to these problems. One, media literacy. Teach critical thinking and how to evaluate sources, which I'm going to do a video on, as I've already said. Example, Finland's successful disinformation education programs encourage fact-checking initiatives like Snopes and PolitiFact. 2. Regulation. Hold tech companies accountable for spreading harmful content. For example, European Union's Digital Services Act aims to curb disinformation online. I think in the EU, TikTok is now banned in government. I'm not, it might just be the EU Parliament, but I think it might also extend to every individual country's parliament. TikTok is no longer, as a parliamentarian in the EU, you are allowed to have a private TikTok account, but not a work TikTok account effectively. Community building, number 3. Foster dialogue across ideological divides, promotes civic engagement and grassroots efforts to bridge societal gaps. And 4, transparency. Governments and institutions must be open to rebuild trust. For example, the fact-based public messaging during crises, as seen in New Zealand's COVID-19 response. All right, and then just in conclusion, conspiracy theories, cult mentality, and disinformation aren't just abstract threats. They're reshaping politics, polarizing societies, and undermining democracies. By understanding these forces and working together to counter them, we can protect truth and uphold values of open, free societies, because that's what we all want, right? I know that's what you want. I know that's what I want. The people who don't want it are the enemy. And a call to action, a quick call to action, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Like on the video, share the videos with friends, people who are interested in this, and let's spread truth and not fear. All right. Thank you very much for listening. And next week we'll, like I said, we'll deal with cognitive dissonance, confirmation bias, and intellectual dishonesty. Look forward to seeing you then. Take care. Bye bye.